Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today we come together with our very first bread recipe. It will be baguette. It is the simplest recipe to make through which we can become familiar with the process of bread making. First, we will start by making the starter. Take 250 grams of water, warm water, or 250 milliliters, and add 5 grams of dried yeast. If you're using fresh baker's yeast, use about 15 grams. Add it to the water and mix. The yeast activates with heat, so we will let this mixture rest for a few minutes to allow the yeast to activate. While waiting for the yeast to activate, on one side take 350 grams of all-purpose flour in a bowl. You can use a mixture of flours, but it's essential to have some white flour to achieve a good gluten network. You can use 2/3 of different flours and 1/3 of white flour. Here I'm using only white flour. Add a teaspoon of salt, which is about 10 grams. And once the yeast is activated, we can add our starter to the flour-salt mixture. Then we will roughly mix it, preferably with a wooden spoon, but here I'm using a mixer with the hooks, and we will mix until it becomes a homogeneous dough. Here we have a homogeneous dough that hasn't been kneaded, which is relatively important. Once the dough is ready, we will let it rest under a cloth for 90 minutes. During the winter, it's better to place it near a heat source like a radiator or in the oven, but since it's summer and now quite warm, we can let the dough rest at room temperature and it will rise nicely. Allowing the dough to rest follows the same principle as fermentation, except here the CO2 released in the dough remains trapped inside. It is what creates the rising effect and what, in a liquid beverage, for example, becomes fizziness. After an hour and a half of resting, here's our dough, which has risen well. We are going to gently remove it from the bowl, pouring it onto the work surface, being careful not to deflate it too much. Now let's dust the top of the dough with flour. It's quite sticky and that is normal. Then we will cut it in half and gently shape it to a baguette form. Personally, I like to give it a little twist, which gives it a slightly different shape. We will then take a baking tray with parchment paper. Here I'm using a reusable silicone mat and we will transfer our baguette into the baking sheet. Next, we will dust the top of the baguettes with flour. We usually like this flour on the baguette when it comes out of the oven. Then we will make small cuts to allow the air to escape. Meanwhile, we will preheat our oven to 230 degrees Celsius with the container of water inside. It is crucial to have a moist oven. This way the crust doesn't form too quickly and the air can escape properly, resulting in a fluffy and crispy baguette. We will bake our baguettes for 15 to 20 minutes in the oven with the water container at 230 degrees Celsius. And there you have it. After 20 minutes of baking, we have a beautiful golden and crispy baguette. We will slice it while it's still hot, and the best part is to enjoy it with some fresh, homemade butter, which we will see in another video. And there you have it. You've learned how to make a quick and easy baguette. See you soon for more learnings.